very sleepy.
All right. Who wants to go first? Me?
I'll go first. I don't care. So, just a couple of little things with it. I'm in this weird transition in life. I'm in between phases, between young and old. Like, I'm young enough
How can you be between phases?
You'll see.
That's a phase itself, isn't it?
Well, I'm in a phase between phases. So
right.
Yeah.
It's the in-between phase.
Yes. I'm in between these two worlds, I guess. Where I'm young enough, I can be between two worlds and not in another world. I could be in space.
Right, but you can't be between two phases because you're always in a phase. All right, go ahead.
Is this fifth grade English class with Sister Mary?
Speak freely, Brian.
Next, you're going to tell me the difference between Ken and May. Can I go to the bathroom? I don't know. Can you go to the bathroom?
Ken and May was a circus act that I saw when I was 11. Also in Ken and May.
Okay. Well, I like Canon and D, so that's kind of my thing. So, anyway, now this is going well. So we are very professional here. So I am in between two phases. So in life, I'm between like young and old. Like I'm young enough that I still enjoy comic books, but I'm old enough that I need reading glasses to do so. Mm-hmm. I'm young enough that I still like loud music, but old enough that I don't like other people's loud music. So it's like this. That's kind of my thing. I don't have too much with it, but I just feel like I'm in this space of like, I mentally I feel like I'm 27, and physically it's like I feel like I'm 77. So it's this weird mixture of where I am in life.
It's kind of funny that you think that 27 is young guys. That you're old enough that you're old enough now that when you refer to young people, they're 27
exactly
instead of 17.
Mentally, I still think I'm in my 40s. You know what I mean?
Right. I feel like a young guy, 53, but yeah. I like the reading glasses to look at comic books, like prescription bifocals.
Yeah, it's like, what is Spider-Man up to today?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right.
You don't smoke pot anymore, but you do drink it.
That's true.
That happened before we started broadcasting. We're not going to do a plug for that either.
No,
get a sponsorship, or else we're not going to mention it. What about modes of transportation? Like what sort of footwear would you have now that you're in this new phase of your life?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of things that are young.
Like your clothing is sensible now instead of fashionable.
Well, like here's another thing. Like I know that I'm getting older because I have more like pharmacy apps on my phone than like I don't have dating apps. I have pharmacy apps. Like right. I have 3 different doctor-patient portals and 2 different insurance company apps on my phone.
Right. You've got instead of discount concert tickets, you've got discount prescription meds.
Yep, good RX.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's a sad time for you.
It is. It's a very sad time.
I was trying to think of something encouraging, and I couldn't.
Now you know why I'm drinking what I'm drinking.
I
feel like there could be a funny visual of you with, bifocals, looking down at the comic book, looking up, and you're in like a waiting room. If you could somehow put that like in the doctor's office.
Yeah.
That just the juxtaposition of that could be funny. If you could somehow put that visual into words.
Yeah.
If you have if your first thought before you go out is, how far am I going to be from bathrooms, or are there going to be bathroom facilities? If one of the primary things that you think about is where the bathrooms are going to be, that's a thing that old people do, and young people never do. Young people have perfect faith that there will be a bathroom available when they need it, and if there's not one available, they'll just not go.
Yeah,
they'll just I'll just hold it. That's okay. I don't need to go right now. I can hold it for another 8-10 hours.
Or, my girlfriend saw me stretching and she's like, what, are you going to go to work out? And I'm like, no, I'm going to sleep.
Right.
I don't want to injure myself. I need to sleep. I need to stretch before I sleep.
Yeah.
It'll limber up. I want to pull a muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all good.
Because I have woken up and I'm like, what did I? Oh, what do I hurt? What did I do yesterday? I was standing. That's right.
That's what you get. Yeah, that's true. The things that you think about, the things that qualify as exertion are in a different category than they used to be. Like just being conscious for 6 hours at a time.
I'm going to feel this tomorrow.
Yeah, boy. I'm going to pull an eyelid.
I've always thought the saying, I slept on it wrong, was funny. Like, you're sore the next day. It's like, I must have slept wrong or something.
Yeah.
It's like, slept wrong.
Yeah. I hear people say that a lot.
Yeah, and then you look at like kids or younger people and they can be just mangled up, like stuffed in a trunk almost, like, and they just come out and they're fine. And meanwhile, you just like go to reach for the light and you just pull something in your back.
Yeah.
Right. You need
to somehow laying there like you're in a coffin, you still wake up sore.
Exactly.
That's true. Young people can fall asleep in any position, anywhere. They've got their ankles up behind their necks, and they're sound asleep. And if you fall asleep in the seat of your car for 10 minutes, you need to have rods put in your neck.
Yeah, they could fall asleep in the middle of a game of Twister, and they're fine.
But they wouldn't.
Right.
You would.
I feel like I did. I feel like I played a game of Twister.
Brian, how do you feel about all of the movies from your childhood being remade now?
Like Gone with the Wind. And
That's right. And Steamboat Willie.
And The Wizard of Oz.
Because I feel like the first phase that you were talking about, you're re-entering it because they keep remaking everything.
I keep trying to. They keep trying to force me to relive my youth.
Well, the fact that you know that things are remakes, like, that's a sign of an old person.
Right.
Yeah.
The people like Roadhouse. Have you seen Roadhouse? It's like the remake. Wait, there was another one?
Come here. Sit down while I tell you the tale.
Let me spin you a tale
of Patrick Swayze. And the famous line, pain don't hurt. But pain, by its very definition, does hurt. Let me introduce you to the 80s mullet. Yeah, there's definitely something there. That's good. All right, that works.
Twister. Did anybody play Twister? I mean, really? Did anybody play Twister?
Yeah, I think so. It never ends well. It's like playing Monopoly.
It's also not fun. It's not fun.
Yeah. Seems like it's fun based on the board, but it's always, someone hasn't showered in three months.
Right. You gotta take your shoes off.
Left foot blue. No.
It's like,
They had the worst spinner of any game I've ever seen. The cardboard was warped, and so it gets stuck in the same spot all the time.
Yeah, you just hit it. It just goes like a little, like an eighth of the way around. I used to have a
Travel Twister. It was like it was real small, so it would fit, like in the backseat of a car, and then you could take it with you.
I thought it already folded up. You're saying like finger twister?
Yeah, seriously. You just like stretch your hand.
No, Travel Twister. So it was like regular Twister, except it was really small, so you could play, on the road.
I used to do a thing a long time ago about Twister, about people would want to play, they're like, oh, let's play Twister. And I'm like, I'm so big, I'm great at Twister. Like I just lay on the floor, like left cheek blue, right cheek green. I got this. That's what I got.
I was watching the records being set for the Guinness Book of World Records. Guinness Book of World Records is out of control. It started out, I had the Guinness Book of World Records when I was a kid. I also had Twister. But the book used to have things like the fastest 100-meter dash or the longest shot put throw, reasonable stuff that you could understand why you would keep a record of that. But somewhere along the line, man, they have started they just threw the door open to anything. We started seeing things like the longest mustache, most consecutive days without bathing. And I'm like, all right, setting these sort of records requires mental instability. It's not a matter of testing your physical prowess. It's just how insane are you? How emotionally unbalanced do you have to be? There's no practical use for a super long mustache. It's like, I've broken a shoelace. It's a pity that you shaved yesterday. So they have things like the number of bats broken with a shin, the number of coconuts smashed with your head. So they have not just smashing coconuts with your fist, which is also a record, but smashing coconuts with your head. So smashing them with your head and smashing them with your fist can be those are two different records, and so they may not necessarily be held by the same person. And they have it occurred to me that at some point, for every single one of these records, the record would have been just one, right? I mean, at some point in history, the record was just one. Number of grizzly bears killed with a cheese grater. Well, that would have been one. Number of chickens eaten with flaming chopsticks, or number of crickets eaten with flaming chopsticks. That would have been just one. But there's always a previous record that they're beating. The number of coconuts smashed with your head was 37 before, and now they're going to push it up to 39. Laying on a bed of nails while someone jumps rope on top of you is a record that they keep track of. The Guinness people are like, yes, that's definitely a record that we are interested in keeping. And they're like, okay, well, what about laying on a bed of nails while someone does a backflip? No, now you're just being silly.
Yeah, that's it.
We need to preserve the dignity of the Guinness Book of Records. And I kid you not, I saw this one. Most boards broken between your legs. So the guy was standing on a platform, and they had these boards stretched out, laid out, at different levels. They formed like a series of levels, and he jumped off of what looked like a diving platform, spread his legs, and landed crotch first on these boards and just smashed through them. That is a record that is now held. Number of boards smashed with your crotch in a free fall.
You may have broken a couple of other records with that one. I think
that's what occurred to me at one point. That was the one that made me go, well, yeah, at some point, just doing that with one board should earn you the title.
Yeah. I think Guinness Book of World Records is going for their own record of the most number of records in a book of records, and that's why they keep doing it. Mm-hmm. The mustache are like, where would that be practical? I mean, that could be the new comb over, but like a comb up. But yeah, where does it stop? Like you can make up anything.
That's my concern, Brian.
Technically,
that is exactly my concern.
Failing to break a world record is a world record. Like first person to fail to break 37 boards off a high dive.
Number of failed attempts to break 30 coconuts with your head.
There's a lot. ESPN puts out a lot of stats that are just crazy. I mean, like most rebounds, on a third Tuesday. Yeah.
Right.
And it's similar to that. There's just everything is just out of control nowadays.
First person to die breaking boards with his crotch.
I think you could do one live in person. You're going to attempt a record by telling the most jokes about the Guinness Book of World Records while raising like your foot up off the ground, or while holding a microphone, or just something, just something kind of innocuous, but just change it slightly, because there have been others who have attempted to tell jokes about world records. But you were the first one to do it in a particular way.
I'm the first person to do it without facing the audience. I'm going to do it with my back turned. Yeah, I I think it's. I don't like it. I don't know how they determine who
Well, holding a microphone
Who's-
with your left hand.
holding
Doing
it
an
with both
entire
hands.
set in Elvish.
Do the whole set in
In
a
Tolkien.
leotard.
That's
That's the whole thing. You could have an entire category just in a leotard. That could be the thing. Like every single record that exists, you could do it in a leotard and set a whole new record. All you need to get into the Guinness Book of World Records is a leotard. That's it. The most jars of peanut butter consumed in a leotard. One. The most.
Hey, you can do the board breaking in a leotard. That's a new
Right.
It's a new record.
You should do that, John. You should make your own entire world in just and you could call it Leotarded. Yeah. By John Brannon.
Yeah. And then if you did it again, what would it be called?
I would say re-leotarded, but
Re-leotarded.
really leotarded.
Really leotarded.
Really.
Yeah. Well, that's my take. I think there's a wide open category for ambitious world record achievers, and it's.
I wonder what the most minimal one is. Like, what's the easiest one? Like
to
the
do?
Most, yeah, or like the most, twisting off of a bottle cap. Just some obscure thing. Again, with the one, there we go. But like, what's the easiest? And then what is what is the most difficult? And so you can contrast the two.
Well, it depends on who you are, though, right? I mean, there's some things are going to be easier for certain people. Some people can break boards with their crotch easier than other people.
Right, but I think as a lay person, something simple like the most number of pillows in a bed when you go to sleep.
I think the easiest one would be most imaginary friends. It'd be easy to beat, though.
Maybe.
They always have that guy there to verify it. So, that's a funny visual, too.
He's going to count them all, too.
The imaginary friend.
Yeah. Right. They have to count them all.
He's going to count all the imaginary friends.
Most of them are timed. So it would have to be like most conversations with invisible friends within 60 seconds.
Yeah. Most imaginary friends in leotards.
The one that I've seen multiple times is the most magic tricks performed in like 60 seconds. And it's just a person who will boom, look, here's a magic wand. Now it's flowers. And then he moves to the next. Look, the rings are apart. Now they're together. Moves to the next thing. Look, its cup is empty. Now there's an egg in it. Moves to the next one. It's like they're doing all of these tricks from like a 6th grade magic kit, just one after the other. And it's setting a record.
It sounds a lot like the Patton Oswalt bit of the magician, which if you've never seen, it is very funny. I'll have to send it to you. But the angry magician, he tells a story about doing a show with the magician for like $50, and that's sort of the same thing. He gets all mad and he's just hates on the crowd with
just
magic.
Hate magic.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm trying to think of like what would be like the most complex thing.
The most magic shows done with an angry attitude. There's probably a record for that. In a leotard.
Yeah, leotard.
Yep.
Magic in a leotard's got to be tough. You can't hide anything anywhere.
So you think. That's the illusion.
Right.
The good ones. The good ones. They got the pockets.
Got magic leotards. Nothing up my sleeve. All right. What you got, Luke?
So when two people get married, something I experienced, it's not
Wait,
just
is this a joke or is
people
this the talk?
It's not just two people coming together. It's two families coming together. It's two cultures coming together. And at some point, something has to give and you have to start making your own culture. But in the meantime, it can be a bit of a clash. I grew up with very conflict-avoiding parents, very passive-aggressive don't make waves. And for years, for Christmas, my grandpa would get everyone tins of J. Edwards toffee. I hate toffee, but every year I would be like, thank you, because it was worse to say I don't like this gift than to just receive toffee for the rest of my life. And then I started dating Amanda, and I would go over to her house, and they would just openly argue with each other. And I would sit there, and I'd watch them start an argument, and I'd just be like, what are you doing? You can't say that until they leave. Like, it should be a group thread. That's what I got.
I am most disturbed by your blatant confession that you don't like toffee. How do you feel about caramel?
I do like caramel.
Toffee is just
overcooked caramel.
A slightly firmer caramel, yeah.
No, it gets stuck in your teeth. Toffee's for Brian April's phase. You know.
No, that's hard butterscotch candies.
Toffee's
unwrapped
Toffee's
butterscotch candies.
Candy. That's old people candy.
What are the what are the things that they talked about, like the toffee? Instead of it being toffee, what was something that maybe
we're not allowed to talk about anything. We're not allowed to share our feelings openly.
No.
With Luke.
So many times my aunt would leave, and then they would start talking about what happened and that person. Like, that's how I grew up. But you'd never do it when they're there. That's just asking for trouble.
Like it's family counseling, like it's a family group counseling session.
Well, that's how you know that you really care for somebody. That's how you know that somebody really cares for you, is if they talk about you behind your back rather than confronting you with it.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of an intervention. That's what my family did. It's like, we'd want to have this like, we have a lot of problems with you, but we're not going to tell you about it.
What would the opposite be? A prevention?
Yeah.
I would go ahead and have the discussion act out the conversation, so that you can feel the awkwardness of it. So, you know, what is it like the what are white elephant gifts, or, you know, Secret Santa, you know, swaps or whatever, something like that. Well, I don't want that. This is terrible. You know, like, just bring it into the scenario instead of waiting and being polite and just going, this is terrible. And it becomes like this weird negotiating like session. And it just, you know, well, I'll give you the crappy, you know, gift if you do that. Like, it's this weird, you just hear like the negotiations and the trading, and, well, I don't know why you would buy me this, but Merry Christmas, you know, like, I don't know, there's something.
I think it should be from the perspective, not of the person who left, but the person who left, their perspective should be, I don't want you to tell me I don't want you to tell me what you think. I want you to wait and tell each other what you think after I'm gone. Everybody in the family knows that that's what's going to happen, and that's what they prefer. So, like, your aunt says, hey, wait a minute. She's actually offended when you try to tell her the truth. It's like, you're not supposed to say this to my face. You're supposed to wait and talk about me after I leave.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
If you can't say something nice, wait until they leave.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you can't say something nice, then wait until they're not.
And
wait until they're out of earshot.
I would also expand on the toffee lecture that you get. When you say, you know, when you would tell your grandfather that you don't like toffee, and it's easier to say thank you than because everyone has that one person when you say, I don't like this, and they go, you don't like what? And then they have to try to convert you right then and there, and they explain to you why.
That's the thing. He eventually did find out that I didn't like toffee, and he started buying me caramels, and it was great. And I could have had caramels for years prior if I had just said,
you missed out on years of caramel.
So,
because I wasn't doing it the Branyan way.
Yeah. Gifts. Brian has a registry for Christmas, for his birthday, for
There's no point. Don't be subtle. Don't hint around. Nope. Here's what I would like. Here you go.
These are
Merry
the approved
Christmas.
gifts.
These are yes. This is the approved list. Everything else,
Unacceptable.
don't do. Do you remember what happened the last time you tried this?
You may have heard it said, it's the thought that counts. I don't buy that. I don't subscribe to that.
I don't know if you've forgotten the great teddy bear fiasco. Just some sort of pick a thing and give it a name like that so people can write their own punchline of what happened at that event, which I always like because then they write something in their brain that they think is funny with it.
Yeah.
The giant teddy bear incident or, fiasco or the, we don't want a repeat of the ... Again, stick.
Yeah, I think it would be funny if the family was just open and honest about their refusal to be honest with each other. I mean, if they really were very matter of fact, and it's like, what are you doing right now? We don't tell the truth to each other's faces. These are the sort of things that we share, behind each other's backs. But you have just developed the whole thing that the family. Because most of the time when a family is passive aggressive like that, they're not honest about it. But if the family decided this is our policy, this is what we do. We never communicate openly with each other. We always lie. We always deceive. We always say things that we don't mean. And this is if you're going to be a part of this family, you're going to have to learn our ways. And so I'm going to stop you right there because I felt like you were about to say something true, and that's not allowed.
You need to wait until we break up into smaller groups and talk on the side.
Right.
There's a breakout session planned into family events.
Yep.
Right. We never say helpful things directly to another person. We always share them with other people.
So it gets to them third person, like a therapy
or never
telephone.
gets to them at all, right?
A game of honesty telephone.
We send information in the opposite direction, hoping that it will find its way back to the person.
Luke says he doesn't like toffee, and then by the time it gets back to the person, Luke wants more toffee.
Yeah,
just like the children's game of telephone. Yeah. So it just goes through each person.
Yeah, we just never say. They're just honest about it. They're just honest about their lack of honesty.
So
it's like, this is what we do. This is how we prefer it. And
it was that being my normal that made it so bizarre for me to witness my wife's family speak. Because it's just like, it seemed like you didn't even like each other.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen someone hit the breaking point of that, but that happened to my sister with the family. Because, again, just refusing to just be honest. So she got a nickname for as Tweety, like Tweety Bird, for some reason through school or whatever. And so every gift she got was Tweety Bird shirt, Tweety Bird this, Tweety Bird that, Tweety Bird everything. And then finally, for her birthday, she comes over and she picks up a Tweety Bird thing and she goes, "You see this? I never want this." She's like, "Stop getting me Tweety Bird stuff." And it was hysterical. It was just absolutely hysterical. She just finally was just like, "You see this? I never want this."
What happens is that when people are so hard to buy for that once they do find out that you have this interest, it's like an algorithm that you're trapped in.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we want. Don't we? Don't we want to decode the thing so that we don't have to think about what to get a person? It's like,
that's
all right, from now on.
That's why you do the pre-approved checklist. Here you go.
Right.
That is honest.
Yeah, like right. I told my grandma I liked Coke memorabilia that she has, and now every birthday, every Christmas, I have like Dale Earnhardt Jr. pocket knives and like just random Coke stuff, Coke themed stuff that she just keeps giving me, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. It's just sitting around. Like,
it doesn't matter if it's age appropriate or anything. It's like, oh, here's a Coca-Cola onesie.
Yeah.
You like Coca-Cola stuff?
Yeah.
Thought you could put this with your collection. No, I just meant I like the drink.
Yeah. Like I like
So
to
basically, your grandma has a separate collection of Coke things that she just keeps at your house.
Yeah, basically she's running out of room because she got trapped in that. She said that she liked Coke memorabilia, and now she has like her light
It's a
switches are
generational
Coke.
curse.
She's got a bathroom themed. There's pictures of me as a child surrounded by Coke pillows and blankets, and like that's how we posed. Like it's just become a part of the. And I made the
Knives.
mistake of saying like those Dale Earnhardt Jr. Coke themed pocket knives are cool, and now I just have all kinds of Coke memorabilia.
So
I
you're
know
gonna
what
just
to give
turn it.
you
You're
for
gonna
the
turn it
next
and be like,
30
you know what? I like American money.
Yeah.
I'm really into collecting money. Especially the rare bills, like the hundreds and
thousands.
thousands. You get you end up getting $2 bills. Now I want hundreds. Andrew Jackson and above.
Yeah.
What do you got, Curtis?
So the Summer Olympics are coming up, and been getting asked a lot about if I'm going to watch those, and I'm honestly not a huge fan of watching the Olympics. It's not because I'm not patriotic. It's just a lot of like athletes doing superhuman things, and I just can't relate. Like it's not entertaining. I think I'd rather see like an average Joe in every event, just for reference. And so like, or just do an entire Olympics that's like a dad Olympics, with like dad events like carrying grocery bags, how far and how many grocery bags can a guy carry, 100 yards. And it's like you just see him, hustling down. And like, a guy's a pro when he's got like a gallon of milk in his pinky, squeezed in there. When stripes in the yard, I feel like that's like a thing that dads spend a lot of time on. You know how in baseball they have like the strike zone that you see on TV. In this event, they would just have the stripe zone, and you can like literally see them driving, and you can see when they get out of it. I feel like that's a funny visual. Ratchet strapping, how many things can you strap down? How far can they go? Along those lines is packing the car for vacation. I feel like that's a solid, you know, dad event right there. It's like Tetris, but with suitcases and strollers. And then I think probably the one that I would like to see the most is like, I don't know if everybody can relate to this, but jumping over the garage door sensor while trying to beat the garage door going down. Like, I feel like that's like I know we have the button in the car, but I just want to show my kids that I'm still like, I'm an athlete, It's like if things go wrong, I can take care of some stuff. Like I've still got some moves,
That's like two events combined. That's like the high bar and the like limbo all in one.
Yeah. It's it's like hurdling, but it's real life. That's what I like the potential of this bit because there's some funny visuals. Like there's some funny which is something I'm trying to put more of in my act. Like some holding your finger on that garage door clicker and like stretching out and then clicking it and running, like that could be a funny visual. I also think voices like, the announcers, of the event, I think could be a funny thing, like, yeah, Curtis is recovering from, a dislocated rib, sneezed too loud last year and, put him out of commission for a few months, stuff like that. I think there could just be some funny outs and some funny voices.
Or it didn't put him out of commission. Right? I mean, that's the thing. Because it's not like this is top tier competition. So you could theoretically continue to compete even with,
he's powering through the injury.
Yeah. You gotta get up and compete even though you can't walk and, you've got an eye injury or whatever, you're nearsighted.
He slept wrong.
Right. So the qualifying rounds are much simpler because the competition is just regular people. And I think that would be more fun to watch. I'm with you. It's like, yeah, I feel like I could do that. you never watch the Olympics and go, oh yeah, I could do that. But you
Right.
could watch those and be inspired to actually.
Sorry,
I like the angle that the people we're sending to the Olympics from Team USA are not representative of Americans. Like they're this 1% freak of natures. We need to send real red-blooded Americans to compete in their Hey Dude shoes and their,
Crocs.
Right.
Well, we'd win gold in shooting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right, skeet shooting, or. But I would also say too that there's room for a joke in there with the. No one else shows up, and we have we got the shooting down. Maybe don't say it that way, but you know what I'm saying. Just the guns. We could have head start on that.
You need gun competition.
Yeah, you need gun competitions, and then if you're gonna have to watch between the two, you choose the winter ones because there are more sports that you can relate to. Like luge is just laying down.
Yeah.
Or I could do that and just have a little like beer koozie, remote control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that would be it. They wouldn't even have. They wouldn't even have to have like the sleds, but like our athletes would be showing up with refrigerator doors and inner tubes, like big tractor inner tubes. And I also like the thing about the strapping. I think you should go as far out as you can from actual competitions, like jumping over the garage door beam. That's funny.
Yeah.
But not how many things you can strap down, but how many things you can pile up into the back of your truck without a strap, and how far you get. How far can you go with a mattress on top of your car?
Yeah.
Holding on to it out the window.
Like a driving Jenga or something. I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, you need to name it. Yeah.
And name the event.
Yeah.
Right. And so
I like
those are the things that people actually do.
Mattress unstrapped.
And so
on top of the truck.
Make those a competition. Right. How many
or somebody on top of the mattress, like surfing, or to keep it held down.
Right. How many different things can you how many things can you build with a with duct tape? How many things can you fix with duct tape?
How many sports games can you watch at the same time, just clicking through the remote?
Right. How many bottles can you open with a screwdriver?
Yeah.
Fastest to untangle a fishing line.
Yeah.
Or Christmas lights.
Or headphones that are in your pocket.
Yeah. Or like the water hose.
Right.
I feel like there's just so many funny, what we would call dad things that, is ridiculous as a competition, but would be entertaining to watch.
Well, you could have the contestants stand up, and one of the contestants all stand up, and they're facing away from a group of children, and the children start yelling and screaming and stuff, and the last person to turn around and see what's going on is the gold medalist. So to test your ability to tune it out, and pay no attention to it.
Right, swiping on social or looking at social media, but there could be a whole American
a name
Olympics
for it.
Or...
It's not if it's not the Olympics.
Yeah, I need to work on a good name for it.
Average Joe Olympics.
Yeah,
the average Joe Olympics.
Yeah, and here he is, and here's Curtis now, laying on the couch.
That's pretty funny. That's a gift that Luke has. You don't even need to say average. I think you could just say Joe Olympics. You just say Olympics, change it to Joe Olympics, and everyone would get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Here comes
which
Team
ironically
USA.
is my first name, Joe. Yeah, it's my dad's name too, and I talk about him a lot.
Why don't you go by Joe Crow?
Because my dad does, and so did his dad. So they were like, we better switch it up for him.
Do you call him Joey Nine Toes?
No, we call him No Toe Joe.
No Toe Joe. Okay.
Yeah, and I have said that before in my act, but I actually
No
probably
Toe
won't if I'm going to say Joe Olympics. I probably won't mention his name because that's just a funny one-off line that I say. But Joe Olympics is a better angle at that name. Maybe I can tie that in somehow too.
Well, you could tie it in for it. You learn from your dad.
Yeah. Yeah. These are things you can do with just 9 toes. Like all of these are possible.
Gosh, it's so funny. He loses one toe, and you nickname him No Toes. It's like he lost one toe.
Well,
Might as well get rid of all the rest of them.
we've been telling him for months that he's got to get control of his diabetes, and he was like, "I'm fine."
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, he's being a good sport. He knew he messed up.
That's like Patrice O'Neill used to have a joke about that, getting diabetes, and he's like, I look at like a Twinkie, and I'm like, I don't need all my toes, do I? So bad.
That's funny 'cause I have a bit where me and my dad were playing trivia, and my wife was leading the game, and she said, "What do you have if you have a Golden Delicious?" And my dad said, "A Twinkie." And I was like, that's when I knew that this man had diabetes. Not diabetes. Like, there's a difference.
Diabetes.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
that's funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do with that.
Yeah. I feel
All
like this
sorts
could
of-
be and there's a lot of different, you can really dive into each of them too. And just,
Yeah,
'cause
just pick
I have a
couple
whole,
and have the announcers going into it and
yeah.
describing the action.
I feel like it would pair well with your 24 hours of Le Mans joke too.
I was getting ready to say, one of the things I have listed is how long can you drive without stopping? And I was going to kind of use that to transition into my bit about dads being able to just drive forever.
Mm-hmm. That could be one of the contests in the Olympics too.
Yeah.
How long do you drive without stopping?
Backing up a boat.
Yeah, look
Is
at
a
him
dad's
ignoring
skill.
the
Or Taylor.
kids screaming in the
Mhm.
back. That's right.
Max-
He's not even listening to them. He's just focused on the road.
Right. Maximum distance that you are willing to drive a lawn tractor. How many miles do you have to go before you go? I probably better take the car.
Or
With
the-
a good tractor.
There would be like a fastest way. Can you beat like a GPS with like directions? Because that is one thing that I think most men like is when you go to the party and there's people there. How'd you get here? And then there's always the conversation.
There used to
Yeah.
be. Do you
That
guys still talk about that?
Jumping over the garage door sensor is so relatable because we've all done it. I do it all the
Yeah.
time.
It's fun. And like I said, it allows my kids to see a glimpse of the athleticism that once was.
I'm
Well,
sure it's
I would-
majestic.
Instead of being like super successful with it, I would have you like injure yourself. Oh, he pulled a hamstring. He's down.
Yeah.
Well, you could add stuff to it too. Like you could do it with ribbons
That's true. Yeah.
In a leotard.
and a leotard. Yeah,
While holding groceries,
that's where I was going. I was going to bring the leotard back.
it's a world record.
I'm sure that's a world record at, highest garage door sensor leap successfully. I'm sure someone's tried to set that record. My wife took away the fun. She raised ours to like 4 feet so the dog could get in and not stop it.
So now you have to
Now
dive
you got
over
limbo.
Dive over it or limbo. under
Yeah,
that
limbo.
thing.
Now it's the limbo.
Roll. I got to roll under it.
It's got to do the Fosbury flop.
That's a different event.
You got to be careful with that, though. Ours were raised, and my cat got squished when I was growing up. We got him out, but he was not very happy.
He was in 2 pieces.
He was like right on his neck.
And he didn't like that, huh?
No.
What is that?
The noise he made is. Oof.
It brings a smile to John's face.
Number of cats killed by a garage door.
That's gonna be a record.
That's a world record.
That's a world
Or
record.
like my dad, when I was a kid, I don't know how many times we'd get out to the truck to leave of a morning and he would start it and it would just like, and there would just be a cat sitting in there like underneath and it would never kill him, but they'd run out and they'd be all scuffed up and hair missing. And they'd get under there in the winter because it's warm. More than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah. I was trying to
Amen.
make a catalytic converter joke, but I couldn't come up with one.
John, don't you have a bit about that? More than one way to skin a cat? Those crazy things, wasn't that? Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
It's a wild saying.
All right. I'm stopping this.